Tulsi Gabbard did actually manage to pass an amendment to force the White House to report the effects of sanctions. And of course, nobody's talking about that. She wants to know what the effects of sanctions are in the countries that we are sanctioning. And it says the Treasury is currently blocking over 8,000 individuals around the world from the U.S. economy as part of a 35 different sanctions program. Sanctions are an act of war, as a reminder. Some of them dating back decades, and there are near total U.S. economic blockades on North Korea, Cuba, Iran, Venezuela, and Syria. Hey, what do those countries have in common? Oh yeah, that's right. They don't like us, and they don't like us interfering in their countries.
I wonder why they don't like. I wonder why they don't like the United States government, fam.
Yeah. Note those countries. They're all evil. We're the innocent ones here.
They're evil.
But the U.S. government has never had to publicly measure the success of these sanctions, whether they actually pressure hostile governments without harming civilians. Let me shorten it for you. They do not do anything other than hurt civilians. That may change next year if Rep. Tulsi Gabbard has her way. The foreign policy maverick has successfully passed an amendment to the military budget in the House of Representatives, forcing the president to collect and publicly report data on the impact of U.S. sanctions worldwide every year. The amendment still has to pass the Senate, but if it makes it into the military budget, it will almost certainly become a part of U.S. law. Too often, U.S. sanctions are levied against another country in an attempt to punish that country's leader without consideration of what the real impact of those sanctions are, Gabbard said in a statement. In reality, these sanctions are like a modern-day siege, most impacting the sanctioned country's citizens, limiting their supply of food, water, medicine, and basic supplies they need to survive, resulting in great sickness, suffering, and death. She added that there's currently no assessment or accountability for our country's leaders for the effects of sanctions. There you go. Hats off to Tulsi Gabbard for understanding sanctions and understanding what they do and wanting some accountability. There's that word again, accountability. From the Pentagon to the military to our police department to our politicians, there is no accountability for what these people do. They get to do whatever the hell they want. They put it in a legalized form of crime and they get away with it. And there's no accountability. This is why people are protesting. I hope more people understand that sanctions are an act of war. Notice how Israel, who should be sanctioned, who should be the one exception with the BDS movement, is not sanctioned at all.
It's the opposite.
We are literally
We're
funding
them.
Israel instead of funding our own people. Okay, and we are literally indirectly, in my opinion, actually directly contributing to what they're doing to Palestinians. So, but you're an anti-Semite if you say that. So,
real quick, fam, I want to see this. Tulsi spoke about sanctions on the couch.
You know, our involvement and our knack for regime change wars and imperialism. Venezuela has been a huge topic right now as far as foreign diplomacy. Do you support Jimmy Carter's assertion that Maduro was legitimately elected? And also, do you feel like our sanctions are mostly to blame for the economic situation that has developed in Venezuela?
I haven't heard Jimmy Carter's statement. There have been a lot of differing views on Maduro's election itself. He's the leader of that country. The United States needs to keep our hands off of what the Venezuelan people are currently going through right now, which is determining what kind of leadership in future that they want for themselves.
Right.
That is ultimately the bottom line. I think there's no question that our sanctions have certainly played a role in exacerbating the humanitarian crisis that exists there and the hardship that the Venezuelan people are dealing with. This is one of the problems with our sanctions regime overall. And I just found this out because I was looking for information about what are the impacts of our sanctions around the world, and who is suffering as a result. Because most often what we're hearing is it's not the intended quote unquote targets, whether it's leaders in the government or whatever. It is the people in these countries who end up really suffering. In a
the super chat right now is going crazy over your answer, by the way. They've been waiting for somebody else to say that.
Here's
That's in the leadership position.
What I found is that there is no report or mechanism in the United States government that assesses the impact of our sanctions. What was the objective? Are they working? What are the perhaps negative unintended consequences? How are they impacting our country, our economy, our interests? So I'm literally working on a bill right now to introduce in Congress that would make this assessment a regular thing, so that we leaders, we the people, can actually look. I think most people don't even know how many sanctions we have around the world. Yeah. And again, who is suffering as a result?
Always the people.
It's a good thing that the Convo Couch did a show on that 2 weeks ago. About really no, I mean.
All right, so as you guys heard, that's pretty awesome to see that what she was speaking about on our show.
Fam, that was over a year ago she said that.
Over a year ago.
She
managed to push that out. If anything, that is at the very least, it should pass. She has a way of getting things passed, actually, of talking and getting things done.
It's too bad she supported Biden, though.
It's too bad she supported Biden.
As long as you're a Democrat, it's like, fuck.
As long as you're a Democrat, yeah. And I mean, I think, she supported Biden, but she hasn't been saying that Joe Biden's going to be the most progressive president.
Yeah.
Like Bernie has. Like, Bernie's pissed me off so much more. And people were like, wow, you're so mad at Tulsi. I'm like, yeah, but you just wait until Bernie does it. And he has literally just gone. He's
been kind of campaigning for Biden.
For Biden, yeah.
I haven't really seen Tulsi say anything about Biden since she's endorsed him.
So that's something we as and I say we as burners to those people watching who are burners, like, if you're going to cancel somebody like Tulsi Gabbard over that, you better be canceling Bernie. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't canceled either of them because I think that they are the system is so corrupt. I mean, we're talking about it now. Look how corrupt of a system it is, that it pushes people that I think are genuinely good. I think Bernie's a genuinely good person, and I think Tulsi is a genuinely good person, and I think it pushes them into compromises because they can't do anything. Like, they can't, escape the system. At least they feel like they can't. I mean, I think right now we don't have a structure for a third party that's good. Like she has said before, I would run third party if there was something in place that would allow me to compete in, equally with the Democrats and the Republicans. That doesn't exist right now. It really doesn't. But I think it's because people are afraid to take that leap too. And we need to create. That's why I'm saying we don't have power in the electorate right now. We need to build outside movements and then create a third party or uphold whatever's already there and run with it, because we're not going to get anything by continuing to vote, even for progressives in the Democratic Party, when their hands are tied at every turn. We've seen it happen with the squad. And so I just think, I think that we have to focus on what is the core issue of the problem here. It is our system. It's so controlled by the military industrial complex. And I think that is a huge part of why Bernie Sanders, his foreign policy didn't really push that hard against a lot of the military industrial complex lately. He used to back in the day a lot more. And that's why they called him a communist and a socialist. And they smeared him. They smeared her as an Assad apologist. That's what they do. They smear you and they discredit you. And people are left without hardcore leadership. And I think we need to see these politicians come out more. I would like to see Tulsi Gabbard come out and continue maybe outside of the Democratic Party. I'm hoping. So we'll see.